When the motion picture section of the Air Force Flight Test Center took this footage of a Thor missile engine under test, the film in their cameras was Ansco. When the first color picture of the Veil Nebula was taken by William C. Miller, research photographer at the California Institute of Technology, the film in the giant 200-inch Hale telescope was Ansco. When the scientists at Lederle Laboratories want photomicrographs for basic research on simple forms of light, the film in their cameras is Ansco. Why is it that the scientists in charge of these projects unanimously selected Ansco emulsions? In a word, fidelity, color fidelity. Their purpose was not just to produce a pleasing picture, but to give the truest rendition of reality possible, so necessary in their evaluation of rocket flames, the heavens, microscopic structure. And unlike so many of us, their selection of an emulsion was based not on habit, nor inconclusive short-run tests, but on long, detailed, carefully evaluated studies, such as this paper by Dr. Morton Sultanoff, recently read into the minutes of the SMPTE. Several different films were tested for color sensitivity and balance, and it was determined that super Anscochrome, despite its normal ASA speed of 100, could be pushed to give color density and saturation which were highly satisfactory. After much experimentation with processing times for daylight and tungsten emulsions, color test strips exposed along with the explosive test produced a strikingly true color rendition. Well, now, what does all this mean to you, the professional motion picture producer? Just this. The same color fidelity characteristics which have been available for years in Anscochrome sheet and roll film for still work and 16mm Anscochrome designed for direct projection are now being produced in a low contrast stock especially intended for making high quality release prints. This emulsion is Anscochrome Professional Camera Film Type 242. And the purpose of this motion picture is to show you what 242 can do for you. Since all the delicate variations in the color spectrum can be produced from proper combinations of just 3 primary colors, one of the best ways to judge the color fidelity of any emulsion is to see how it reproduces these primaries in all of their many shades. Red is perhaps the most difficult of the primaries to reproduce realistically. Yet it is also one of the most important. From the searing orange red of fire, to the robust red of meat, to the delicate pink of a healthy flesh tone, red symbolizes excitement, danger, life itself. Blue is the sophisticated primary. Artists have used it since time immemorial to convey the entire range of human emotions, from the happiness of blue skies to the depression of a blue mood. Many modernists have found it such an expressive color that everything they paint is done in shades of blue. Powerful royal blues, delicate powder blues, crisp sky blues. Green is like red, difficult for many emulsions to reproduce, yet important because it is so much around us in nature. The cool green of woods and water. With such amazing color fidelity, it's little wonder that so much scientific and high-fashion photography is filmed on Anscochrome emulsions. But since the average commercial producer only encounters this type of assignment infrequently, you may well ask,
what's in it for me? How can 242 cut my costs, make my job easier, or both? I've got to have some damn good reasons before I'll switch emulsions.
all right, let's look at a few ways 242's technical advantages can be translated into economic advantages. Take the sponsor's logo. In all probability, he's spent a lot of money having it developed. Or perhaps it's been the company's identity mark for 2 generations. In either case, he wants it to appear on the screen the way it appears to the eye. Yet, with some professional films, the producer has to render his artwork in off colors so that the final print will match reality. This kind of trial and error research is expensive, both in time and money. With 242, you get what you shoot. For this same reason, 242 is the ideal stock for the animation camera. Your art department will like its high color saturation, and cameramen appreciate its high speed, which allows a lower light level and consequently a lower temperature in the animation room. But from the front office standpoint, the absolute color fidelity of 242 is most important. With the cost of artwork and stand time going higher every day, you just can't afford to rework or reshoot any animation. One Eastern producer found this out the hard way. After spending over $5,000 on artwork for an animated sequence and getting client approval before shooting, his film was rejected. Why? Because the emulsion he used was poor in its red rendition. As a result, the molten iron reproduced as a magenta red rather than an orange red. To an engineering eye, this represented a poor cooling rate rather than the high efficiency which the foundry was claiming in their copy. Another area where 242's superior red reproducing capacity becomes valuable is with flesh tones. A good flesh tone is a universally accepted standard of good color. Even the most unsophisticated client will spot the death-like appearance of pasty white flesh tones. Or its counterpart at the other end of the scale, excessive orangeness. While extreme cases are usually the result of color temperature problems, minor shifts which occur because of the buildup of contrast in printing can be minimized by starting with an original that's true to life. Furthermore, with Ansco 242, in many cases you can reduce or eliminate the need for color compensating makeup, a real time saver on the set. The point we just raised about color temperature variations can be used to illustrate another economic advantage of 242, its inherent color temperature latitude. This is of particular importance to industrial producers who often have to work under less than ideal conditions. Daylight from skylight doors or windows often intermixes with the 3,200 degree illumination from regular lighting gear. In-plant power supplies often fluctuate widely, causing a corresponding fluctuation in the color temperature. And on tough available light assignments, there are often both fluorescent and 2,900 degree incandescent light sources to contend with, making the cameraman's job of selecting the proper CC filter almost impossible. While conscientious use of a color temperature meter will help to solve many problems, there are times when the producer must shoot knowing that his color temperature is not right. It's then that the color temperature latitude of 242 can save the day. The following series of shots were taken without any CC filters on the lens, and the laboratory was instructed to print them normal so that they appear exactly as in the original. First, the scene lighted properly with 3,200 degree light. Now, with daylight bleeding in, as it might from a skylight. Here, with the color temperature dropped down to 3,000, as might well happen with voltage variations. And finally, the basic lighting down to 2900 degrees Kelvin. Notice how even under these extreme conditions, acceptable color is maintained in the original. Now let's run through the series again, but this time with laboratory correction. By close cooperation with your laboratory, you can achieve good color prints even from originals shot under adverse conditions. You can achieve even better results by shooting on a wide latitude stock, such as 242. 242 also has a wide latitude and exposure. This, in addition to its excellent color fidelity with greens and blues, makes it an ideal exterior emulsion. Because of distance, haze, or high contrast, it's often difficult for the cameraman to get perfect exposure on an exterior like this. Here's the same scene taken at a half stop under normal. Notice the abundance of shadow detail and the brilliance of the colors. As a matter of fact, some producers consistently shoot at a slight underexposure because they feel it gives them more color saturation. Even at a full stop underexposure, there's still plenty of detail and color without any laboratory correction. And with proper lab compensation, the scene becomes quite usable. 242 is so good in this factor of exposure latitude that the only practical limit on correction is the light output capacity of the printer. Reversal emulsions do not generally have as much latitude in the direction of overexposure, but 242 is very acceptable up to a half stop over. And some cameramen deliberately like to open up a little because they feel the corrected print has a somewhat finer grain structure. While 242's exposure index of 25 is ideal in most situations, for those impossible shots that seem to come up in almost every production, it's wise to stock a few rolls of super Anscochrome in your loading room. Whether your client calls for high-speed motion analysis, night harness racing, or an ultra-long shot under available light conditions, the impossible becomes easy with super Anscochrome. Its nominal exposure index is 100, and for extreme conditions it can be successfully forced to 200. Well, there are some of the damn good reasons why you should be switching to 242. But before we let you get back to all those problems on your desk, here are a few quickies for you to consider. The latitude of 242 permits it to be successfully printed on any reversal print film. And if you happen to prefer the negative-positive system of producing release prints, you'll find 242 gives superior results. Because of the extra steps involved in the negative-positive process, good color in the original is even more important than in reversal printing, and 242 gives you the best possible original. Since it goes without saying that this is a pressure business, you'll appreciate the speed with which 242 can be obtained. It's available from any Ansco dealer. There's no need to buy from just 2 or 3 widely scattered warehouses, and no need to waste time certifying checks. The same speed and convenience applies to processing. In addition to Ansco's own laboratories, there are 16 independent laboratories in the United States and Canada equipped to handle 242. And finally, you can quickly evaluate your original footage. Because 242 gives you true color in the original, there's no need to wait for a work print to determine whether or not your shots are acceptable on color balance. Well, that's the story on Anscochrome professional camera film type 242. If you have any more questions, talk them over with the Ansco representative who brought this film to your studio. He can give you any more technical data that you may require, and if you haven't already tried a sample roll in your camera, you'll be very glad to give you one free. Once you've tried it, I'm sure you'll agree. It's another fine product from Ansco, America's first name in high-speed color film.